Hey guys, this is Pastor Sidney with Celebration Church in Slidell, and we've been doing a series called It's Personal. And we've been studying about this guy named Zacchaeus out of the book of Luke chapter 19. And I want you to know that in this particular passage of scripture, we're going to see that this short guy named Zacchaeus, and yes, he's short, so I can relate to him because I'm short myself, that he was so short that he got to a point where he wanted to see Jesus that he had to climb up a tree. And the reason why is because a group of people was following Jesus. Why? Well, a lot of people believe that not only are they following him because he's healing the sick, not only is he raising people from the dead, because you have to remember, just 15 miles away in this place called Bethany, he rose a man named Lazarus from the dead. You know the story, right? So all these groups of people are following Jesus. They want to see, man, everyone's talking about this guy named Jesus. He's touching people's lives. They're being healed. He's changing the way people view things. He's looking at people with potential. And today we're talking about that Jesus knows the potential that's inside of us. So here's this man named Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus climbs up this tree, and Jesus says something in front of everyone that catches everyone off guard. He looks at Zacchaeus and says, Zacchaeus, today I'm going to your house. Jesus did not ask him. He actually told him he was going to Zacchaeus' house. But in the book of Luke chapter 19, verse 7, the Bible says that all the people started complaining. They started complaining that, wait, he's hanging out with a sinner now? So in other words, Jesus is showing everyone that was there and us as readers today that Jesus sees something great in us. He sees something in us that we don't see in ourselves. He sees potential. So here's Zacchaeus in this tree. He's probably my height, about 4 foot tall, right? And he's sitting there and he says, Zacchaeus, I'm going to your house today. And all the people are now complaining. They're complaining why? Because Zacchaeus is a tax collector. And in those days, the Jewish people didn't like tax collectors. Matter of fact, Zacchaeus was a Jew. And he's collecting tax for the Roman Empire. So Jesus says, hey, I'm going to your house, Zacchaeus. I'm actually inviting myself. Now, a lot of people think that's rude that he did that. But in that time, in that culture, that it was an honor for someone to be a guest and they would like to host you, especially like a man named Jesus. Remember, Jesus is doing miracles. Jesus, 15 miles away, just raised Lazarus from the dead. Jesus is now touching people's lives. He's healing the sick and people are following him. Then all of a sudden, Jesus realizes that he's different. The reason why he's different is because everyone is shunning him. No one wants to hang out with him. Why? Because he's a tax collector. You ever felt like people didn't see potential in you? I'll give you a prime example. I remember the first time I heard about this game called Red Rover, Red Rover. You know the game. Never heard about it in my life. All of a sudden, I know what it's like to be picked last. Because remember, I'm the shortest one. I stopped growing in 2nd grade. You guys know that. I stopped growing a long time ago, right? So I'm sitting there. I was a guy that always got picked last, right? So I get picked last. No one thinks there's potential in me, right? All of a sudden, we all holding hands. And next to this little girl that's like smaller than I am, right? And all of a sudden, their team and our team are against one another. And it's all Spanish kids, right? Because I grew up in a Spanish neighborhood, right? So we're playing Red Rover, Red Rover. All of a sudden, we're winning. Then all of a sudden, there's this one guy everybody knew. His name was Oso. Oso in English means bear. This guy was huge. He was like 6 years old, but he looked like he needed a birth certificate, man. He looked like he was 19. Real big guy. The reason why we called him Oso is because he looked like a bear. And I'm never going to forget, we started singing a song. Red Rover, bring Oso right over. Everybody knew who Oso was in our neighborhood, and we started hanging on tight. And I know what everybody was doing. Everybody's praying, please don't let Oso come my way. Please don't let Oso go my way. And all of a sudden, you see Oso come to slow motion. You know how it is when you see somebody big, you just see like I'm about to die, right? And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, this guy, I'm like a little kid. He's not only going to run over me, he's going to bite my hiney. So I'm getting all nervous. I'm thinking like a little kid. All of a sudden, I see Oso coming in slow motion. Then he starts to turn. And he starts to turn toward the smaller side of the link of Red Rover, Red Rover. He's aiming at me and this little girl. I said, you got to be kidding me. I all of a sudden knew what Zacchaeus felt like. Everybody was zooming on me. They were just thinking there was no potential in me. He probably didn't like me, right? So he's coming my way, and I see him coming. I'm looking at this little girl, and in my brain, I'm thinking, girl, if you let go, you and me going to fist fight. I don't care if she was 2 years old. I'm holding her hand, and I told her, don't let go. All of a sudden, here comes Oso. All of a sudden, he hits me in her arms, right? Now, this is the catcher. We were so short that Oso tripped over us because we were so low to the ground, but we still hang on. All of a sudden, he falls over. We all excited. We all screaming, yeah, we won. I want to come up to Oso and kick him. Okay, I can't do that because I'm a Christian. But I was so excited. I was so excited. I knew what it felt like to have potential at that moment. You know what happened after that? People tapping me on the shoulder. Oh, y'all did good. The little girl that was next to me, she really didn't do nothing. I did all the work. But we sat there and it felt good. Why? Because it's good to be around people that believe that you have potential. It's easy for you to change. You see, what happens is, I want to talk to you about that. Jesus knows you have potential and you can change. See, have you ever said this before? Have you ever said, it is what it is? That's just who I am. If you said that before, you're downsizing what God can do in your life. But I want you to know that God sees potential in you. God sees something in you that you don't see in yourself. Number one, you can always tell that you want to change when you get around people that believe that you can change. Number two, you can change when you believe that Jesus can change you. There's potential in you. You can change the way you do things. You can change the way you act. You can change the way you deal with things in life. That can happen. It really can. Why? Because Jesus saw potential in Zacchaeus. He saw potential. He knew what it was like. No one wanted to talk to Zacchaeus, a tax collector. No one wanted to hang out with him and his family. But Jesus says, Zacchaeus, today, he points at the tree. I'm coming to your house. And all the people got mad. That word all means all. That means the religious leaders that were there, right? Those mature Christians or the mature religious people, they had a problem with it. And he says, he's going to hang out with sinners now. In the next verse, you see that when Zacchaeus hung out with Jesus, he says, Jesus, if I did anyone wrong, I'm going to pay them back. Matter of fact, if I cheated anyone, I'm going to give them 4 times of what I've done wrong. I'm going to repay them 4 times as more. He changed them. Why? Because he saw something in Zacchaeus. He saw something in Zacchaeus. You can always tell what Jesus wants to do in your life. Why? Because he will always pick you. Yes, he picked you. He picks me because he knows there's potential inside of us. I want to tell you right now, no matter what comes your way, when you start calling Red Rover, and you see all these things happening, the pressures of life, or you wanted people to like you, or you have to be a certain way at school, and people trying to get you to believe a certain way, and you feel like you have to change for them. No. Jesus sees potential in you. Don't let nobody break that chain. Don't let no usos in your life pick on you and make you feel like you have to be different. If you made mistakes, I want you to know Jesus forgives you. Don't let people pick you out. If you did something in the past and you haven't forgiven yourself for it, let me tell you something. And people have a tendency of bringing it all up sometimes, right? Jesus sees potential in you. And look what he says in the book of Luke. He says this, Zacchaeus, salvation has come to your home. I've come to save what was lost. You see, I want to tell you something. Jesus saw potential in Zacchaeus. And even though he was different from everyone else and everyone didn't treat him and they think he could change, they said he's not going to change. He's just like that. He's stealing people's money. No, Jesus changed his life. And this is what it looks like. It looks like when Jesus sees something in us, it's because he knows there's something great in us. And there is something great in you. You have the potential to change because Jesus created you to change. You could change the way you think, the way you view things. Why? Because he's created you that way. There are 2 types of changes. This is what I like to believe. There's the kind of change you can take to go the wrong way, or there's the kind of change you can do the right way. Jesus created us to do the right thing. So today I want to tell you, Jesus made it personal. He made it personal for you to know that he sees great things in you. He sees potential. You see, when also started coming my way, it made it personal to me. I ain't going to let go of you, little girl. I made it personal when people were picking me last because I knew it was personal to me. And that's how much Jesus looks at us. It's personal to him that you see that he loves you and he can change you. My name is Pastor Sidney. I hope this message changes your life. And I hope that you see that Jesus sees potential in you. God bless you. You have a great night.